BNEWS Reporter Robert Parris, and we're here for another Burlington Parks and Recreation update with Burlington Parks and Recreation Director Brendan Egan. Brendan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be back for another week.
Excellent. So, Brendan, what is the current situation with the Burlington Parks and Recreation Department as we head towards June?
So as you know, the governor came out last week with phase one of his reopening plan, and there are some good things in there, you know, opening parks back up for people to go to. Ours were never closed. We had facilities in the parks, like and equipment in the parks closed, and our fields. But people could still go and walk around with their families, you know, to get out of the house and kind of break some of that cabin fever, especially on nice days. So we've gone through those guidelines that he did put out, and I can just touch base on those, some of those now and how they affect our parks and facilities. So currently, again, our parks are open. We have gone and put signage up that we talked about last week, just with CDC recommendations on there, you know, talking about physical distancing and things like that when you are using the parks. So we have opened the parks for people to go and enjoy. We've also opened the sport courts, the paddle courts, so tennis and pickleball, for singles matches only, no group gatherings. So if you're going to play tennis and you go to Rahanis and all 6 courts are full, we ask you to stay in your car until a court opens up, not to get out and hang out with your partner that you're going to play against or other people that are waiting, and wait your turn. You know, there's rules that go along with that as well, and they're up on our social media pages. So those are open. Pickleball are open at Simons Park, and there's 1 tennis court at Simons Park as well. We're not lighting the courts yet. We're not ready to do that. And then our bathrooms open. Oh, one more thing. Trash barrels. We are asking people to try to practice carry in, carry out. So if you bring, you know, a plastic water bottle and you use it up, don't, you know, bring it home with you. We've, you know, kind of tried to consolidate our trash barrels instead of having, you know, 4 or 5 in one larger area. Maybe we go down to 2 or 3, because we are working, you know, trying to maintain all town properties, empty trash, and do all those things, and trying to make it a little easier for us to accomplish everything rather than leave some things out. But next week, starting June 1st, we have bathrooms that will be open, and there's very strict cleaning policies. They have to be cleaned twice a day, and there's a cleaning procedure. There is, you know, you have to practice physical distancing in the bathroom. So there may be, you know, limited use of the facility. So not every toilet or urinal would be open. There might be distance between them, and one might be closed off. Excuse me. So we're working on that. So one thing people do get confused about, so our parks are open for walking around and enjoying. We're not doing field permits. Those are not available yet because groups can't gather. And we are not doing, the playground equipment is not open. So people get confused. Oh, parks are open. Why aren't the playgrounds open? The playgrounds aren't open yet. It's just the way, you know, we're following the guidelines as they've been released. I know it's not easy because you bring your child to the park and they look at this beautiful structure there that they can't use yet. But again, it is open to go and enjoy. You know, if there's a family of 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever, and they're running around on the field, you know, out on the grass, that's okay. It's when we start getting pickup games and people gathering to meet with their friends and hang out, that's where it becomes a little difficult. So we're also looking at, we talked about restrooms. We talked about trash in the parks. Also next week, June 1st, the dog park will reopen. And that this is another funny one. Dogs have to social distance as well, their owners and their dogs. So we start to get, a ton of dogs in there. Really should keep them on a leash, which kind of defeats the purpose of the dog park, but we do have to follow the guidelines. So if dogs are, naturally they like to gather in groups and packs or whatever and run around and chase each other. Not really, it's not allowed under the phase 1 guidelines. Owners are going to have to social distance in there as well, but it may be just something that the dogs get in there and they can see each other and, meet up with their friends that they haven't seen in a while. And then our community gardens are opening June 1st as well. People can register now for a lease a plot at the garden, at the community garden. We have 19 available plots. You can rent a full or lease a full or a half plot. What we do, we have very strict guidelines for the community gardens for gardening this year due to COVID-19. So those are up on our website. The application is there as well, so you can look at everything. There's no sharing of tools. There's, limit on the number of people that can be in the garden at one time. What else? Wearing a mask when you're not able to social distance. Whole number of regulations. So they are out there and can be checked out on our website.
Excellent. A lot of stuff going on still.
There are, and we spend some time before we put out, things that are going to open. We really go through the guidelines that the state puts out to make sure that we are following those.
How has everyone been taking precautions at the office?
So we're starting a slow reintegration, so to speak, into the office. Some of us have been here throughout, and I've been here every day. Other people have come in different times during the week to do functions of their job that they have to do in the office. But when we're not able to social distance, we're wearing face masks. Everyone has cleaning towels for their desk to cleanse at the end of every day and wipe down. I mentioned face masks. There's hand sanitizer on everyone's desk. So, but we have bathrooms here too, which it's better for us to go and wash our hands than to use hand sanitizer. So we try to make sure that we are staying clean and we keep our distance from each other.
What are your concerns about the summer activities?
Sure. So when the governor came out last week and then passed it on to Lieutenant Governor Polito, they said that there'd be further guidance on summer camps and recreational programs. We're waiting. We've been checking every day to see their releases, see if there's anything new. Just as our colleagues in other departments across the region and state. When we talked last week, I think in the week before, we mentioned that we have taken registration for summer programs. We've limited our numbers, so there's only up to 25 in each program, and that includes the staff. So if the staff for a program is 4, we're only taking 21 participants. We've been very transparent with the parents and residents as they register that we're waiting on that guidance from the state. If they say, you can't have any more than 15, in an in-person program in the summer, then obviously some people are going to get refunded. But also we are, prepared to expand that if we can as well. We're pretty confident in phase 2 that will be allowed. Hopefully we can get to phase 2 on that June, June 9th, I think, or June 8th time.
8th, I believe.
So, if we can, and then 3 weeks from there gets us to the end of June in phase 3 possibly. So we had to plan ahead, because when parents go back to work, they need somewhere for their kids to go in the summer, and we need to be prepared for that. So, but we're also prepared to cancel if we have to as well, which we don't want to do, but we are prepared. And we've been, as I mentioned last week, I think we've been purchasing masks and sanitizer when they become available. so we have it on hand for our staff this summer.
I'm sure you know what the next question is. Any new updates about the Celebrate Burlington and Concerts on the Common?
Nothing ready to release on Celebrate Burlington. It's looking less likely to happen just because of the amount of people we get at Celebrate Burlington and keeping those the physical or social distance. Concerts on the Common, you might see something soon on that. There might be something good in the works. We'll say that. But I think that's something that we'd like to be able to do. Provide for people, get them out of their house, and socially and physical distance while listening to some music or watching a movie.
Have you been in contact with any of the summer coordinators while all of this is going on?
Sure, we've kept right up with our directors' meetings. So the directors of our summer programs, they've had 2 meetings now, pre-season planning meetings, talking about these changes, and they know that things could change at any time. So they're preparing to move forward with the summer as well with with a smaller number of participants. And then our staff, we've stayed in touch with them. They have requirements that they have to complete, paperwork that they have to get in. So we've been moving forward with the idea that the staff will be working this summer, but they also know, just as the parents, they've been informed that, if we have to cancel programs or limit the numbers, we'll try to keep them employed, but if we can't, we can't. And it's the state of where we are these days.
And Brendan, lastly, what do you hope the outcome will be as we head towards the summer?
Well, I hope that, we're able to gather again in I'm not saying super large groups, but larger than 10, and that we're kind of back to typical operations as soon as possible. I think, people are ready for that. A lot of people are ready for that. And we've been pretty cautious, and I've said it a couple times, this short-term suffering, so to speak, is really for the long-term gain. Keeping to ourselves and our immediate families, and not going and visiting relatives and grandparents and friends and hanging out with your neighbors. Yes, it's not what we're all about here, but it's some short-term suffering, not seeing those people, for the long-term gain of getting back out as soon as possible.
And Brennan, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Anything else I'd like to add? Just keep an eye out on our social media for the releases of opening of new facilities, not new facilities, our facilities, or changes as we get to phase 2. And if you have a question, just give us a call. We have someone that is answering our phone every day, and checking voicemail as we work remotely. Next week, we'll all be back into the office, and we'll be social distant. And, our phone line will be live. We won't be seeing residents, but we'll have someone answering the phones live beginning next week. So just, ask us. We will, if you don't understand something or you're confused that it says this on the state's website, but you don't feel, you're not sure if it covers what you're thinking of, give us a call. Leave us a message. Someone will get back to you.
Well, Bern, I want to thank you for coming on for another Parks and Recreation update, and I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you. I hope everyone's well over there at BCAT.
Thank you very much.